us from Bamenda.
After the non-stop visit of the Bamenda fire-ravaged main market, the city mayor of Bamenda, Reverend Paul Achumbong, who has not stopped working in ensuring that the Bamenda main market gets a new facelift in the soonest possible time frame.
The other end of the market, which we had to take off the roof in order not to let the fire escalate. If you go the other side, you will see those sheds whose roof were taken off and their properties were not burnt. We are now re-roofing it. That's the council doing it.
The damage evaluation exercise that was conducted by the city mayor alongside the senior divisional officer for MESAM, Simon Emile, as they held frank talk with the different traders and business persons in the market.
We want to know those who are effectively affected. We want to assess exactly those who are concerned.
With the heavy losses inquired by some of the business persons, we remember the once bustling businesses that they were into as they shared their pains.
Everything has gone burned because we cannot take anything at home because of this situation in Bamenda here. Right now we don't have anything, as you are seeing us like this, and all these people there, as you are seeing, they are widows. They are widows.
The only thing I will tell the government right now is, after the reconstruction of this market, I'll plead with the government to carefully and happily take us back into our shops. I just believe that after that we will regain back the stores. No matter the situation, we just pray that the government should hear our cry, because with the socio-political atmosphere, we don't know how we are going to go about it.
The Bamenda City Mayor, on his part, is optimistic for better days ahead for the victims of this market, who constitute more than 90% of them who are women.
What I've equally ascertained here is that 9/10 of the victims of this fire are women. I have called upon them, and I'm still calling upon them. That is one person who can, with the thumbprint, this market will kickstart. And that person is His Excellency President Paul Biya. So I'm appealing to the women that with the designs which we're going to have, let them come out on the 8th of March. All of them, and show solidarity to the head of state and make their cry known to him.
At the dawn of the evaluation exercise at the Bamenda main market, all are highly awaiting for the assistance of persons of goodwill, not forgotten that of government.
Away from that incident from Bamenda, we talk something else. Last 27 February 2024 was witnessed in Cameroon and around the world as World Non-Governmental Organization Day, popularly known as NGO as is known for short, with the stakes and challenges faced by workers of the set NGOs. This year's 2024 Organization Day is set aside to give more preference to some of these challenges faced by the set workers of NGOs. More with our reporter Rita Mafani Mujoko, who is interested on this.
February 27, globally recognized as World NGO Day, has been celebrated this year under the theme Building Sustainable Future, the role of NGOs in achieving sustainable development goals. Officially proposed and made functional by the Baltic Sea NGO Forum Committee in 2012, the day is aimed towards collaboration, commemoration and celebrating the various NGOs around the world and the brains firmly behind NGOs whose main push contributes to the society. This day is set aside to encourage and inspire people around the world become more actively involved within the NGO sector and foster great alliance between NGOs and the public sector as well as the private sector. This day, NGOs around the globe equally gather to share knowledge and experiences as well as discuss challenges faced in meeting the needs of the community they serve. As they celebrate this day, the importance and role played by NGOs continues to assist in fighting death rates, hunger, poverty, and a lot more, for as Nelson Mandela rightly said, NGOs are the conscience of the people.
We move over to the Southwest region, where the Office of the Southwest Public Independent Conciliator has held a one-day workshop with the different municipal magistrates, popularly known as mayors, in the Southwest region for the education after the said office received a pile of complaints over the non-availability of documents or papers for the fabrication of documents for the civil status registrar. She was speaking to the said mayors on for them to make the availability of those documents that are highly awaited in the region. More with our reporter Alice Deke Lengu Ekomi.
Ever since the creation of the Office of the Public Independent Conciliator, which comes as one of the resolutions of the major national dialogue according special status to the Northwest and Southwest region, the Office of the Southwest Public Independent Conciliator has been on her feet, creating common grounds on how best to attend to public delivery of users' services by putting the interests of the local population as priority. In this light, the Office of the Public Independent Conciliator Southwest Region is having another seminar with the local authorities under the theme Office of the Public Independent Conciliator consenting with frontline actors of city and local councils to ameliorate service delivery to users.
The raison d'etre for this seminar is the complaints we've been receiving about the issuance of birth certificate and civil status documents. So I thought it necessary to bring in the Lord Mayors and the Chief of Services and Chiefs of Bureau of those key services, so that together with the resource person who comes from the Civil Status Registration Center, we can outline and understand better how these documents are issued so that the population can be happy when they go to the councils to seek these services.
The seminar that took place this February 28 in Limbe was characterized with different presentations, one of them being the mission of the office.
The office has taken the initiative to engage constructively with the local authorities such that they can carry out some of the actions which are at the center of the complaints that have been brought over the last 2 years and a half.
Presentation of civil registration and production of vital statistics.
With the exchanges we have had here, I think, and even the ones that we had at our various divisions organized by the Public Independent Conciliator, we are fully equipped. We know exactly what we need to go back and tell our people.
According to the participants, the seminar has benefited them in many ways.
We have learned a lot. We have seen our mistakes. We're going back to correct them. And we thank God that it was not only extended to mayors, but extended to collaborators of the mayors in charge of civil status.
The Office of the Public Independent Conciliator is open for the Southwest population.
Yesterday, 28th of February 2024, marks exactly 16 years after the famous 2008 nationwide strike took place. As during that moment, some deaths were being recorded after Cameroonians took to the streets to decry the high cost of living and high cost of food items and other items in the country. 16 years that memory lane, what has changed in the country according to the grievances that Cameroonians took to the street? Rita Mafanya Mujoko tells us more.
Today marks exactly 16 years ever since Cameroonians across the territory took to the streets to deny the high cost of living that had replica effects, as some casualties were recorded in 2008. With the marchword being "End Hardship Now," 16 years down the lane, the economic hardship of the country has gone from bad to worse, as the economic policies of the country has recorded enormous changes, with the taxation system witnessing increase on the tax burden. Not leaving out the recent one being the increase in fuel pump prices that has had an adverse effect on the daily lives of many Cameroonians, as the trickle-down effects are quite enormous, with the most recent being the increase in transport fare. With the nation now suffering from Boko Haram insurgencies in the far north, the close to 8-year arrival conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions, and the different difficulties the nation is facing, all is therefore expected for the government to do the needful such that Cameroon shouldn't record a repeat of 2008.
We now take you to the Southwest region, where the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, SHADA, held a press conference with journalists yesterday, the 28th of February, for the presentation of the human rights situation in conflict-hit Southwest, Northwest, and far North regions of the country. Speaking to media men and women, the founder of SHADA, Barrister Kongo Agbo Felix, say more needs to be done when it comes to the rights protection of all persons in this part of the country. More with our reporter on the story.
Rights violations that has had a remarkable increase ever since the advent of the Boko Haram insurgency in 2012 and the coming into place of the armed conflict of the Southwest and Northwest regions. The rights defending organ based in Buea, the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, SHADA, has been hard for this vice to end or reduce in the country.
It's true that the pendulum is swinging more in favor of the non-state armed groups committing more atrocities than the state of Cameroon, but it doesn't change the fact that the civilian population is at the core of this conflict. They are the victims, and as we normally say in Africa, that where two elephants fight, it's the grass or the turf that suffers. The civilian population are the ones who are suffering. The report talks about 300 deaths. And mostly civilian. We talked about 100 days of lockdown with close to 50 people of CDC workers who sustained serious injuries. 5 died. The incident in a Beko where about 50 were killed, and also what is happening in Boko Haram. So it's a big picture that is, we should not be proud as a nation to have these numbers. You know, these are just, people see them as statistics, but they are human beings we are talking about.
The press conference of this Wednesday, 28 February 2024 at the Buea headquarters is presenting the right situation in the Southwest, Far North, and the Northwest regions as they are advocating for civilian rights to be respected at all times.
It's the population of the Southwest and the Northwest and the Far North that are suffering as a result of the crisis. We can advise or urge or encourage them is that they should at least respect the civilian population and their property. When we say 300 people killed, we're not talking about 300 animals that were killed. There are 300 human beings, and that is one killing or one death too many. I think it's high time where the conflicting parties try to protect the civilian population, try to put the civilian first. They should have what I would describe as a civilian-centric approach to conflict. Nothing would stop us because we believe that the more human rights are respected in any country, the betterment for the citizens, especially the civilian population. So it's something that we always do.
With a firm commitment taken to promote human rights and protection for all, SHADA insists she will stop at nothing to see Cameroon stays on the right path of human rights protection and justice for all.
You are watching High Prime if you are just joining us, and we are broadcasting live from our main studio here in High Television. On to news beyond the shores of Cameroon, we take you to Nigeria, where after 2 days of massive protests across the Federal Republic of Nigeria due to high cost of living and the plundering of the currency, the Naira, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has called off the strike action that she stipulated, as she sees it is high time for them to give the Ahmed Bola Tinubu's led administration a chance for them to address the aforementioned points. Our reporter on that news item is Claudine Tafu Ivy.
Nigerians took to the streets across the country to decry the exorbitant high cost of living in the country. The call that was made by the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, was respected by many who has been feeling the pinch of this misery of difficulty in the country.
Nigerians today, let us rise and let us tell Mr. President what he's supposed to hear. And what do we need to tell Mr. President? Nigerians are hungry. There is hunger in the heart.
To them, the Renew Hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been dashed as all what he promised has not been executed. With the soaring inflation and the stumble of the naira, inhabitants of the populous nation in Africa with the watchword "End the hardship now." The protest that started in the country's economic hub of Lagos, it spreads like wild flames to the other parts of the nation. The monetary policy of the country and directives from the International Monetary Fund, the protesters are calling for adequate measures to be put in place.
Today, you buy a product, going back the following day again, the price keeps changing. Geometric progression over 200% from December downwards. So we can't continue to wait. So any policy that the government needs to make now to ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians, also to ensure that the food inflation is brought down to a minimal level, because the take-home salaries of several workers now cannot take them home.
On Monday, Nigeria's finance minister announced the resumption of direct cash transfers to enable more than 12 million households. Wale Idun, in an interview recently, told the BBC that President Tinubu was listening and acting to the benefit of Nigeria.
After several months of turmoil in the West African nation of Senegal, the country Senegal has finally settled for the 2nd of June as the date for the general elections that will be coming up this year in that part of West Africa. This comes into place after the president, Macky Sall, attempted to prolong his stay in office by postponing the set elections for December 2024, but the Constitutional Council of Senegal overruled that set presidential decree, as Claudine Tamfo tells us more.
After the tactics of Senegalese President Macky Sall to prolong his stay in office till December 2024 and the rejection of the country's constitutional court, the new date might be in June 2024. This was made known in a special consultative dialogue in Dakar after some different members turned out for the deliberations on Thursday. With this, candidates whose candidacy will be validated can go ahead for presidential campaign, with 2nd June being the D-Day for the country's electoral process. Many Senegalese and Africans looking at the one vibrant democracy in West Africa with one eye open and another closed.
Your services will no longer be needed. These were the watchwords from the Cameroonian government to head coach of the Indomitable Lions squad, Rigobert Song Bahanac, who has been head coach for that national team for close to 2 years now. This was made known to the public in a communique that was issued yesterday by the Minister of Sport and Physical Education, Professor Narcisse Muele Kombi. Rigobert Song was sacked as a result of that communique from the presidency of the Republic, as our sportswoman Cynthia Lato tells us more.
For many, it was the long-awaited piece of information last Wednesday, 28 February 2024. It was confirmed in a communique from the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education as the Cameroonian government expressed her acknowledgement of the service rendered by former Indomitable Lions captain Rigobert Song, who has served as head coach of the country's national football team for close to 2 years now. In a special interview, the country's Football Federation President Samuel Eto'o acknowledges the fact that him and his former teammate Rigobert Song have not attained their objectives.
Un vibrant hommage à Rigobert, qui fut mon capitaine à l'équipe nationale. Il a beaucoup apporté à cette équipe. Mais les lois du football étant ce qu'elles sont, on n'a pas atteint nos objectifs et notre comité exécutif et moi-même, nous ne nous voyons pas en train de reconduire leur contrat. J'ai eu l'occasion d'en discuter avec lui. J'ai donné nos positions et maintenant il faut penser à l'avenir tout en lui souhaitant plein succès dans sa future carrière.
The sacking of Rigobert Song Bahana from the national team was a decision from the presidency of the Republic. Leaving the team, Song holds a track record to have been the first coach whose squad was able to beat the Desert Foxes of Algeria. With his inability to sail beyond the group stage at the Qatar World Cup and the disgraceful exit of the national team at the 29th editions of the African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast, it has been echoed time without number for the sacking of Rigobert Song. As he leaves the national team of Cameroon, one-time football giant of the continent is waiting for the next redeemer to redeem the fading Cameroonian football.
And good luck to Rigobert Song in his next chapter of his life. With that story done for us by Cynthia Lato, this is what concludes tonight's news package, High Prime of Thursday, the 29th of February 2024, the last of the month of February. Good night.